Sometimes you stand among hundreds of laughing faces, yet your heart whispers silence. The world sees you surrounded, but inside you are searching for just one moment of true connection. Loneliness doesn't come from the absence of people, it comes from the absence of understanding. It is the gap between your inner world and the world outside you. When you lose the connection with your own inner being, even 1,000 faces around you cannot fill the emptiness inside. Your heart feels distant, as if no one truly sees the real you standing there. Loneliness becomes a reflection of how far you have drifted from yourself, not how few people are standing beside you. The noise around you cannot silence the quiet ache within. Loneliness is not a flaw, it is an alert signal from your soul that something deeper is missing. You crave truth, not just company. You want someone who understands your pauses, your silence and your unspoken emotions. But when the world remains busy with surface-level interactions, your inner world continues to feel unseen and untouched. This disconnect creates the distance that crowds cannot bridge. We spend so much time wearing masks to please and impress others that we slowly forget our own true face. The more we hide behind these masks, the harder it becomes for anyone to truly reach us. Conversations become shallow, laughter becomes forced, and connections lose their warmth. Even when surrounded by people, the walls built around the heart keep you stranded in isolation. Real companionship grows only when you allow yourself to be known without filters or fear. When the heart is authentic, it finds hearts that resonate. Silence shared with someone who understands is more comforting than loud conversations with those who don't. Belonging does not come from the number of people around you, but from the depth of connection with even one soul who truly cares. The moment you rediscover your own worth and start embracing yourself as you are, loneliness begins to dissolve. You no longer depend on external validation to feel valued or seen. Your inner space becomes a home where peace lives, and from that place, every meeting becomes meaningful. Even in a crowded room, you feel complete because you finally belong to yourself. When loneliness rises inside you, it is not a sign of failure, it is the voice of your inner truth demanding to be heard. Crowds can cheer for you, people can stand beside you, yet your heart can feel like it is trapped in an empty hall. This pain is simply the reminder that you are living disconnected from the depth of who you are. Your soul refuses to settle for shallow interactions and meaningless noise. There is a hunger within every human being, a longing to be seen beyond the surface. You don't just want company, you want connection. You want someone who understands the weight of your silence, who can feel your emotions even when your lips stay shut. When that hunger is unmet, the world around you feels distant and your heart screams for authenticity, even if your face keeps smiling. Loneliness becomes unbearable when you continue pretending that everything is fine. You try to blend in, play roles, and hide wounds just to fit into the expectations of others. Every forced laugh, every fake conversation, and every unseen tear adds another layer to the invisible wall around your heart. And behind that wall, your true self feels suffocated and alone, begging to be acknowledged. The moment you stop betraying your own feelings, the moment you allow your real self to breathe, you begin to see who genuinely belongs in your life. Authenticity acts like a filter, removing those who only want a piece of your personality and attracting those who connect with your soul. When you show up as you truly are, even a single presence by your side feels more powerful than 1,000 bodies around you. Loneliness loses its power when you honor your own inner voice. You become comfortable in your own skin, confident in your own presence, and fearless in showing your truth. Then you stop seeking acceptance from the outside world. because acceptance from within becomes enough. And that is when a crowded room can never make you feel lonely again, because you walk into it already complete. When you start focusing on impressing others, you slowly begin to suppress your own truth. You act strong even when you are breaking, you smile even when you are hurting, and you pretend to be fine just to avoid judgment. Every time you silence your real emotions, you build another brick in the wall that separates you from genuine connection. This emotional distance is not created by others first, it is created from within you. The world teaches you to perform, not to feel. You are encouraged to look confident, act perfect, and hide every scar that proves you are human. You wear a mask so polished that even you start believing it. But the more flawless the performance, the deeper the loneliness grows, because no one can hold your pain if you never allow anyone to see it. The applause from the world becomes hollow when your heart remains unheard. Every lie you tell about your feelings is a step away from the relationships that could heal you. The fear of vulnerability makes you choose loneliness over honesty. So you speak the language of strength while your soul whispers for help. People gather around your outer image, not your inner truth, and that is why the crowd feels cold. They like the character you play, but they do not know the person you are. The emotional suffocation does not come from the lack of people, but from the lack of transparency. When your heart is locked away behind a perfect image, no one can enter, even if they want to. You crave understanding, yet you hide everything that needs to be understood. You want someone to feel your depth, while you cover it under layers of pretense. Freedom from loneliness begins the moment you drop the act and allow your truth to be visible. When you dare to show your real emotions, you create space for real connection. Vulnerability becomes strength, honesty becomes a bridge, and authenticity becomes your protection. The world may not always applaud your truth, but the right hearts will finally find you. The more you try to become who others want you to be, the farther you drift from who you truly are. You change your tone, your behavior, your opinions just to be accepted. Slowly, you learn to hide your real feelings out of fear that they might be rejected or misunderstood. And in this exhausting performance, you lose sight of your own identity piece by piece until you no longer recognize the person staring back at you. Every mask you wear might protect you for a moment, but it also blocks genuine connection. People see the version of you that you allow them to see, not the one that aches to be known. They admire the illusion, not the reality. When connection is built on pretense, it will always feel fragile and empty. You cannot feel truly loved if no one is allowed to see the parts of you that need love the most. Masks create distance. They make your life crowded with people who like your performance but do not care about your pain. You might get attention, appreciation, even admiration, but you remain emotionally starved, because deep inside you know that if those people ever saw the truth under the mask, they might walk away. That fear becomes the prison that keeps you isolated even in the loudest places. Standing in a crowd becomes the loneliest place when you feel no one knows the real you. You become surrounded by conversations that only scratch the surface of your heart. You laugh without feeling joy, talk without feeling heard, and exist without feeling alive. The world thinks you are doing fine while inside you are silently collapsing under the weight of pretending. Real connection only grows when the mask falls and the truth breathes freely. When you show your real flaws and raw emotions, the right people stay. They see your humanity, not your image. They connect with your heart, not your performance. And in that acceptance, the loneliness that once filled your life begins to fade, because finally, someone truly recognizes you. Surface level conversations may fill the air, but they never touch the heart. You speak words that have no weight, you laugh at things that don't matter, and you keep every vulnerable thought locked inside. People hear your voice but never feel your truth. When communication has no depth, presence becomes meaningless, and your heart grows quieter in a room full of noise. Invisible walls rise whenever you choose safety over honesty. You hold back your fears, your dreams, your wounds, because revealing them feels risky. Those walls seem like protection, but they are actually barriers that push connection further away. No one can reach the real you when you are hidden behind emotional armor. The walls you build to keep pain out also keep love out. There is a difference between talking and connecting. Talking happens with anyone. Connection happens only with those who can hold your truth without judgment. You may know many people, but very few will truly understand your silence. When the heart does not feel seen, it retreats deeper into its loneliness, even as the world keeps spinning around it. Relationships survive on depth, not performance. Two souls cannot meet if both are pretending. You crave someone who asks how your heart is, not just how your day was. You long for conversations that allow your emotions to breathe and your scars to be acknowledged. You want to feel that someone cares enough to notice what you don't say. The moment you stop hiding behind shallow interactions, space opens for real connection to enter. Vulnerability becomes the doorway through which trust walks in. When the heart finally speaks its truth, the right hearts will respond with understanding, and in that exchange of depth, loneliness begins to fade because connection finally has room to grow. Your presence becomes hollow when your mind is trapped somewhere far away. You stand among people, yet your thoughts are buried in worries, fears, and doubts that no one around you can see. The body participates in the moment, but the heart is absent. When the heart disconnects from the present, loneliness takes control even if the room is overflowing with voices. Overthinking builds a world inside your head that feels heavier than reality. You replay past mistakes, analyze every reaction and fear every outcome that hasn't even happened yet. This mental noise pulls you away from genuine connection. You may be physically close to others, but mentally you are lost in places they cannot follow. The gap between your thoughts and the present moment becomes the space where loneliness grows. People try to reach you, but the walls of your own mind do not let their presence enter. You are surrounded by love, care or friendship, yet your thoughts whisper that you are alone. Your heart is too busy fighting silent battles to feel the warmth around you. The world sees you, but you do not feel seen because your attention is glued to every insecurity and fear living inside you. The more you overthink, the less you feel. You start questioning your worth, doubting your relationships, and imagining problems that don't exist. Those doubts slowly steal the joy from your interactions, making every smile feel forced and every conversation feel distant. Your mind becomes the cage that isolates you from people who genuinely value your presence. Connection returns when you shift your focus back to the moment you are living. When you allow your heart to breathe freely instead of suffocating under anxious thoughts, people finally get to meet the real you. Stillness replaces overthinking, presence replaces fear, and truth replaces assumptions. Loneliness fades not when the room becomes less crowded, but when your heart returns home to where your body already is. Validation from others gives you a moment of relief, but it never gives you peace. You depend on compliments to feel worthy, on attention to feel noticed, and on approval to feel accepted. But the moment the attention fades, the emptiness returns even stronger than before. Relying on others To validate your existence turns your happiness into something borrowed, something fragile, something that can be taken away at any time. Every time you seek recognition from the outside, you abandon a little more of your inner truth. You start shaping your life based on what others want to see, not who you truly are. Their opinions become your decisions. Their praise becomes your self-esteem. Their acceptance becomes your measure of worth. You become a prisoner of expectations that were never yours to begin with. The need to be liked keeps you from being real. You hide your flaws, silence your feelings, and act stronger than you are, hoping the world will applaud your perfection. But that applause is shallow because it is given to a version of you that isn't even authentic. You feel lonely, not because people ignore you, but because no one is appreciating the real you behind the disguise. Self-acceptance begins when you stop begging the world to validate you. When you embrace your imperfections instead of hiding them, you take back the power you once gave away. You no longer bend yourself to fit into someone else's idea of beauty, success or happiness. You become unapologetically true, even if that truth is messy, emotional or misunderstood. The moment you accept yourself completely, loneliness loses its grip. You begin to attract people who connect with your soul, not with your image. Their presence feels warm because it is built on honesty, not performance. You realize that confidence does not come from being admired, but from knowing that you are enough even when no one is watching. True companionship begins when you allow your heart to be visible without hiding behind fear. You stop filtering your words and emotions just to appear strong or perfect. You let someone witness your doubts, your scars, and the pieces of you that you once considered unlovable. When you allow your real self to step forward, you give others a chance to understand you beyond your surface image. Trust forms when vulnerability is shared without hesitation. You stop pretending that everything is fine and speak with the honesty your soul deserves. This openness creates bridges where once there were barriers. People can finally connect with who you are on the inside, not who you pretend to be. The courage to be seen becomes the foundation of every meaningful bond. Many relationships feel empty because they are built on half-truths and guarded hearts. You sit beside someone physically but keep emotional distance out of fear of being judged or hurt. That distance becomes loneliness. But when you allow someone to see your raw emotions, the fear slowly fades and the connection grows stronger with every honest moment shared. Real companionship does not require perfection, it requires presence. When someone understands your silence, supports your vulnerability, and accepts the real you, your heart begins to feel safe. You no longer need to explain or justify your feelings. You feel valued not for your achievements or appearance, but for your essence and your truth. Loneliness disappears when your soul is finally recognized. You realize that love is not found in a room full of people, but in one heart that chooses to stay without conditions. True companionship is when you no longer have to hide any part of yourself, because the connection is deep enough to hold both your strength and your vulnerability without letting either break you. Silence between two connected people carries a weight that words often cannot achieve. It is a quiet understanding that flows without explanation, a presence that feels complete even without speech. When two hearts are attuned, the absence of sound does not create emptiness, it creates a space where trust and comfort breathe freely. In that silence, every glance, every small gesture speaks volumes more than conversation ever could. The noise of a crowded room cannot replicate this depth. People may chatter endlessly, laugh loudly, and share stories, but the heart often remains untouched. Words are easy, connection is rare. Amidst all the noise, There is still a sense of distance because most interactions skim the surface. True presence is measured not by the volume of sound, but by the depth of understanding which often lives in quiet moments. Silence allows emotions to unfold naturally. Without the pressure to entertain or impress, the heart reveals itself in ways it never could under scrutiny. In that quiet, vulnerability is safe and authenticity is allowed to emerge. Two connected souls do not need to fill the air with distractions, they simply exist together and their existence itself becomes meaningful. The comfort of shared silence strengthens bonds more than constant conversation ever could. It teaches patience, attentiveness and empathy. You begin to feel the rhythms of another person's inner world and learn that connection is not forced, it is experienced. When words fail, silence becomes the language that communicates trust, safety and belonging. People often underestimate the power of simply being present. In a world obsessed with noise and performance, quiet connection is a rare treasure. Two hearts that can sit together in stillness without discomfort demonstrate the depth of their bond. It is in this space, away from the chaos of others, that loneliness dissolves and the soul feels truly recognized and understood. Belonging to your own inner space means you stop looking outward for fulfillment. You no longer depend on the presence, attention or approval of others to feel complete. Your peace is no longer borrowed from fleeting moments of recognition, applause or validation. Instead, you cultivate a sense of wholeness within yourself that cannot be shaken by external circumstances or the absence of others. When you occupy your inner space fully, the mind stops racing toward what is missing in the world outside. You become aware of your thoughts, your emotions and your own energy without judgment or resistance. Every moment spent alone is no longer empty. It becomes an opportunity to explore your own depth, to understand your patterns and to nurture your growth. Solitude transforms from a source of discomfort into a powerful ally. Inner belonging also means that you stop measuring yourself against the presence or absence of others. You do not compare your journey, your happiness or your value to those around you. The comparisons and expectations that once amplified loneliness dissolve because you are anchored in the truth of your own existence. When your sense of being comes from within, external emptiness loses its power to affect you. When your attention shifts inward, the quality of every interaction changes. You no longer seek people to fill a void, you connect because you have something abundant to give. Presence replaces neediness, authenticity replaces performance, and engagement becomes natural rather than desperate. People who resonate with your energy are drawn to you, and relationships form out of genuine connection rather than dependency. The more you strengthen your inner space, the less loneliness can touch you. You carry yourself with a quiet completeness that no crowd can disturb. Even in isolation, you feel full because the source of connection has moved from outside to inside. Belonging to yourself becomes the foundation upon which all other connections rest, and in that inner sanctuary, loneliness loses its grip entirely.